Cody Law of South Florida's prestigious American Top Team MMA Training Center looks to go 2-0 in his young pro career at Bellator 254 on Thursday, December 10th. It marks the final Bellator card for a challenging 2020. And Law wants to make a statement against featherweight Kenny Champion, beating a champion. Thank you, Cody. Hey, you're a Pennsylvania guy. How do you like South Florida, especially in November and December?
Yeah, it's not too bad right now. It's actually starting to feel like summer in Pennsylvania out here, so I like it better now than I liked it in the summer.
Have you been to Pramani Brothers in Fort Lauderdale?
I have not, no, actually. When I'm out here, I'm living clean, so I haven't really gone so many places.
So even the eating, the healthy eating, because I wanted to get into that. How was your diet and training and just, even when you're not preparing for a fight, how was your eating habits and dieting and training?
I mean, I pretty much eat clean year-round. That's probably, I would say, like 90% whole foods outside of camp, like when I'm just training regularly, but then whenever I'm getting ready for a fight and getting my weight down, it's 100% whole foods, no alcohol, no caffeine. I just live clean and train hard pretty much year-round.
You're from Pennsylvania, have you ever heard of Primanti Brothers?
Yeah, of course. I spent my 21st birthday at Primanti Brothers in State College, Pennsylvania, Penn State, and they just opened a Primanti Brothers 5 minutes from my home in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. I love it there.
Well, then I won't tell you where you can find it here because I don't want to tempt you, because they have a couple in South Florida.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure to check it out whenever I get back.
Well, actually, then there's one down by the beach in Fort Lauderdale Beach. There's one there. That's a really cool one and all. And, hey, I like the pizza, and I call it the trucker sandwich, where they just put the french fries, the coleslaw, the turkey, everything in the sandwich. It's really cool. Do you have a favorite at Primanti Brothers?
I don't know. I like their drinks, basically. When I go there, I like their drinks and then the appetizers. But like I said, I don't get to eat like that too often, so I wouldn't say I have a favorite just yet.
Yeah, and you can find plenty of Whole Foods down and around here.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite store to go to is Whole Foods.
Now, Cody Law is a cool name for an MMA fighter. Do you have a nickname yet, or do you even need one? Because Cody Law just sounds so cool.
Yeah, what do you think? I don't think I need one.
I don't think you need one either. I was thinking about that because the things I was coming up with were just too long. Because there's an old song. Now, see, this is probably long. For you, it's older, so I don't even know if you... But there was a song, I fought the law and the law won.
You know, my family made T-shirts whenever I was a senior in high school. They wore that. They had that written on the T-shirts from my senior year at the state championships in Pennsylvania for wrestling. But I'm not going to roll with that anymore. It's too much.
It's too long, though. That's the only thing. Like on a T-shirt, that's cool. I think that's great. Saying it, but just usually a nickname, 1 word, 2 words. So, hey, if you don't go with a nickname, I don't think it matters because Cody Law just sounds so cool.
Yeah, it speaks for itself.
Hey, what's it been like at American Top Team?
It's been amazing. I mean, I'm jumping levels very quickly. The training is world class. The coaching is world class. The partners is world class. The facilities, you name it, it's all top level. And then not to mention, it's just a good vibe here. It's a good environment. I get along with everybody. I just enjoy it every day. It's been amazing so far.
For this fight coming up on Thursday, Bellator 254, who trained you for this one?
Pretty much the same as last time. I work with Mike Brown, Anderson, Bunko, my striking coach. Just about all the coaches, really, and I spar with like a pretty good variety of people as well, so it's not too dialed in, but it's the same as last fight, really.
Any big names you sparred with? I know they have such a collection of talent over there.
Yeah, I mean, I just sparred with Pedro Munoz last week. Dude, it's honestly hard for me to keep track because I feel like I've done one long camp. Like these past 2 fights have just been one long camp, so I sparred with everybody.
How long was this camp for you?
Well, I mean, it's basically, what would you call it, like a 10-week or 11-week camp because I've been training since May. I took 1 or 2 weeks off between May and the last fight. So that's a long-ass camp, I feel like. But really, I took 1 week off, came back 5 weeks before the previous fight, trained 5 weeks through, fought, took another week off at home where I just kind of did some light training, came back down here and did another 4 or 5 weeks. So I don't know, however you want to chop that up. It was long, I would say. Short for just this fight, but in total, a long amount of weeks of training.
Cody, you would be able to explain this better, that hopefully I can understand it. When you're an amateur wrestler, standout wrestler, and you're training for that, and then you're training for MMA, and I know there are different disciplines, different styles of MMA. Is the training different when you're getting ready for an MMA bout compared to when you're getting ready for whether it be a tournament for amateur wrestling?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we never really trained differently in wrestling, whether it was a dual meet, one match for the day, or a tournament. There was never like a difference in preparation. We just trained for an entire season. A wrestling season is long. If anything, maybe I trained more volume right now because it's not 6 months straight or 7 months straight of a wrestling season. You know what I mean? It's 5 or 6 weeks, so you're trained maybe twice a day, most days out of the week. And obviously, it's different kind of conditioning for fighting than it is for wrestling. Wrestling is a short burst. It's more anaerobic. You know what I mean? It's 8 or 9 minutes max. Where fighting is, 15 to 25 minutes, so it's small differences. I don't know. I don't really think about that stuff too much. It's all training to me, and I just enjoy all of it. So.
And that's why I brought it up, because you do enjoy it all. And I just wanted to know if then the transition wasn't too complicated then for you.
No, not at all. I loved it. When I finished my senior year of wrestling, I finished the national tournament. That same week, I started training MMA because I just was so excited to make the transition and just start doing something new. So it was new. Everything was new. I had to learn new skill sets, so it was really fun. The transition was just like, it didn't feel like work. It felt like play.
When you're getting involved in sports like that, do you become a fan of other wrestlers, other MMA fighters, and were there some that you looked up to?
Did I become a fan of other wrestlers when I got into MMA?
When you were wrestling, as you're wrestling, were you Dan Gable? Were you a fan of other wrestlers from back in the day just because of what sport you were getting into? Because sometimes athletes aren't so much fans of that particular sport. I mean, they like it, but they may not have a favorite wrestler, football player, basketball player, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just curious if you were a fan of any amateur wrestlers or MMA fighters.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it was a progression. When I was younger, I was much more of a fan of wrestlers. As I got older, they became my competition, except for obviously the ones that were retired and stuff. And even then, I was always, I don't even know if I would say a fan, but I was always studying. You know what I mean? I always had certain guys that I wanted to watch and learn from. And now the same thing with fighting as well. I'm definitely less of a fan of certain fighters now that I'm in fighting and they're potentially in my competition. But I definitely watch everybody. There's certain guys that I look up to. Of course, like George St. Pierre is a guy that I like to just kind of pay attention to how he carried himself, how he went through the fight game. And there's other guys like that, too, that are already on their way out that I like to pay attention to. But I don't know about being a fan of certain people, but I watch everybody. I study certain guys a whole lot because I just love to watch fighting. And you can learn a lot from watching. So.
And I should have prefaced that fan as a youth, as someone growing up. So it is, obviously, it's different because now you're so involved in it. It's not so much you being a fan of other MMA fighters because you may have to battle them someday, too. So it's more or less just training and getting ready for what you're doing. Cody, how did you get to American Top Team and start training there?
Kind of just by chance. I was quarantined in Pennsylvania during the lockdown. I seen two of my former Penn State teammates were down here training with Masvidal, getting him ready for the Usman fight. I kind of reached out to my manager and asked him, what was going on with that, and he asked me if I would come down to American Top Team to help George get ready for the Usman fight, and I, of course, jumped on the opportunity. And the very next day, I was on a plane to American Top Team. They moved me into the dorms, and I've been here ever since. Like I said, I've only left for maybe 3 weeks max. I've only been home since May. I live in the gym, and I love it here.
Cody, do you ever think what would not have happened if your former Penn State teammates were not training Masvidal, and then you getting an invite to do that as well?
Yeah, I don't know where I would be. I mean, I'm sure I believe, like I visualize my success and stuff in a way where I feel like no matter what, things would have worked out, that I would still end up in a similar situation where I'm succeeding and stuff. But it's crazy. I mean, who knows? Maybe I would have spent how much more time I would have spent in Pennsylvania, locked down in quarantine, just training by myself. So it worked out really nicely.
Did you thank your former Penn State teammates?
I don't know if I have. He's getting married 2 days after my fight, so I'm flying home for that.
Oh,
maybe I'll say thank you then.
Who are you? Can we know who they are? Who are the Penn State teammates?
Yeah, it's Bo Nickal and Tony Cassar. I'm sure you've seen that they were out here.
Yeah.
They came out here to help George, and then I came out after that. Was with them. We were down here for a solid few weeks together.
Now at Bellator 250, you made your pro MMA debut and beat Orlando Ortega, winning by submission, round 1. Yes. Mm-hmm. Did you watch the fight after? Did you learn anything from it? Can you learn from that?
Yeah, I've watched it a lot. I've watched it probably like 12 times maybe. There's not a lot to work with, but there are a couple little things. There was this couple mistakes I made on the feet that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So yeah, I've been working on that stuff. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of work. Not a lot to work with, but I've watched it a bunch and picked out what I can from it.
Yeah, I was going to note that because it was round 1, so it's a little tougher, but still, that's interesting too. You're able to pick some things out and go from there. Yeah. Right before the fight, like 10 minutes, a half hour, an hour, are you calm? Are you anxious? It's your Bellator Pro MMA debut. What was it like there then?
Super calm. Felt like I belonged there. I was the most calm I've ever been, probably for competition in my life, which I'm very happy about.
Was being an MMA fighter always the goal?
Yeah, that was since I was pretty young. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Probably 14 years old.
You were a Pennsylvania state runner-up high school wrestler in 2012 at 160 pounds, and then a state champion in 2013.
Yeah.
Transitioning from junior to senior, what was the mindset? How bad did you want it? Because you were a runner-up in 12 and then won it in 2013.
Yeah, well, the biggest transition or the biggest shift was the nerves. That's been a thing. I was very, very nervous. I had very bad performance anxiety when I was young, to the point where I lost to a guy in the finals my junior year that I should have beat. I beat him the week before at regionals. I was going into that match. I thought, wow, I'm going to be a state champ because I know I'm better than this guy. But I get so nervous that I didn't perform, and so I spent that entire year just like trying to learn how to control that, trying to obviously be good enough that it can negate that. But that was the biggest shift. I was less nervous. I was more confident, more calm my senior year, and I knew this is my last chance. I had to get it done. That was like one of the worst days of my life, losing in the finals my junior year. So the pressure was on, but I ended up making it happen. So.
I always think it's curious. Did you learn more as a state runner-up in 2012 or by winning state in 2013?
Well, you learn more from losing for sure. I mean, it hurts really bad, but you force yourself to learn. You force yourself to get better. But the wins are nice too. I mean, not for everybody. Maybe some people win and they don't take anything from it. But when I won that state championship, that's forever something I can still use. I can still remember how I felt winning, and you can use that. That feeling of succeeding. You can still recreate that in your head to motivate you for more of that. And when you're visualizing, you can imagine that feeling again, but in a different scenario, winning a world championship in fighting or whatever it is. So I learned a lot from the win in 2013 as well.
They fought the law and the law won.
That's right.
Hey, you became an NCAA Division II national champion at, I believe, 157 pounds and a Division II All-American. You were at Penn State, and then you transferred to, I hope I have this right, University of Pittsburgh-Johnstown.
Yeah.
How important was that move for you in your process? Because Penn State, such a historic program in wrestling, and you were there, and then all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to transfer and go to University of Pittsburgh-Johnstown?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that was, personally, I feel that was the single best decision I made in my whole life, transferring to Pitt-Johnstown. For too many reasons to get into right now, but it led me to where I'm at right now. You know, this was my ultimate goal, was to be an MMA fighter. I had connections through there, through Isaac Greeley, who was my head coach from back home, from the Mat Factory Wrestling Club near Pittsburgh. He was an NCAA runner-up for Pitt-Johnstown. He's an alum. So I had a good connection right into MMA through Pitt-Johnstown. I was at home. I was with, I met my coach Pecora, who was like a father to me. I met some of my best friends there. I just believed in myself a whole lot more, and I grew as a person a whole lot more. I reached my goal of becoming an NCAA champion, and now I'm right where I want to be with fighting, and I'm always thankful that I decided to go to Pitt-Johnstown.
And I digress to when you were in high school and you won the state title, and the year before you were the state runner-up, and you mentioned an interesting story, how you had just beaten him in regionals, or the week before. Did you ever get to avenge the state championship loss to that wrestler?
No, he was a senior.
Do you know if he went on to do MMA or even wrestling after that?
Yeah, he wrestled in Division II, a weight class above me, and he was an All-American a few times, I believe, but never won the national tournament.
That's interesting. He was a weight class different from yours. Technically, then, if he was in the same weight class, you could have met up then at nationals.
Yeah, I always hope, but I mean, it got to a certain point where like I had to let go of that stuff. You know what I mean? But there was always a part of me that wanted to get that one back in college, but it didn't happen, and that's okay.
It is okay, but that would have been very interesting. It would have been made more for a cooler story, but it is, like you said, it is okay, and you have to let it go, and you move on. All right, so a couple more questions, and I'll let you out of here. You're now fighting for Bellator, and I know it's only your second fight, but how are you looking at this fight coming up, and what's it been like for you being a part of the Bellator MMA team?
Yeah, it's been great. I really like it. Everything has run smoothly. Everyone's treated me really well. I'm so happy they gave me a second fight this quickly. There were people who said that I wouldn't get a fast turnaround, that it would take me a few months before I get another fight. And as soon as my first fight was over, I talked to Michael Kogan. I said, I'd really like to fight again as soon as you can. He told me to stay in shape. I stayed in shape. They called me a couple weeks later. Boom, I got another fight. Right when I wanted it. Right before the holidays. I can bang this one out, finish this guy, go home to my family, and enjoy the holidays. So, yeah, I don't know what your first part of that question was, but it's been good so far.
Yeah, it was about being about Bellator and getting this fight, and this fight coming up. So, yeah, you answered that pretty good, I think. And then when you're getting ready for this fight, and then obviously the holidays, and you're going to go back home, what's it like now when you go home? Now you're a professional MMA fighter. What does family think? You mentioned before how they all were in the T-shirts with "I fought the law" and the law won. That is really cool. But what's it like for family and the support you get there, and your friends, and just everybody involved in your team at ATT, and then also family and friends?
It's good, man. It's a bit overwhelming just because I'm gone so much. When I do get home, everybody wants to see me. Everyone wants to get their time with me and stuff. So it can be a little overwhelming because when I'm here at ATT in South Florida, I'm kind of in isolation. I spend a lot of time alone. I train hard, and then I go and I'm by myself, and I do my own thing, and it's a lot of silence. I get home, it's a lot of chaos. That's okay. I appreciate it, but yeah, it's nice. I get a lot of support back home. Everyone's very supportive of me, and my family loves it. They have watch parties at the house right now because they can't be at the fight. Hopefully that ends someday soon here, but yeah, I love getting to go home.
You're prepared physically and mentally for fighting, and you've been a champion wrestler, and now you're going for MMA, and I've read that you wanted to be well-rounded in MMA, not just a wrestler.
Yeah.
Is that also, since what you've been able to see at ATT was a reason, hey, this is a good place for me to do that, to train like that?
Well, no, I wanted to be a well-rounded fighter since the very first day. I never wanted to be a fighter that went in there and just only wrestled. Like, never tried to make his striking better, never tried to improve, just tried to go in and take guys down and hold them down for the unanimous decision win. That's never been my plan. I've always wanted to go out and, be unpredictable and make guys really, truly not know what to expect. Am I going to strike? Am I going to wrestle? Are you going to get head kicked? Am I going to take you down? Who knows? That's what I want to be. Just a well-rounded martial artist, Like I said before, George St. Pierre's a guy I kind of look up to, and I really like the way George did it. Whoever he was fighting, if the guy was a better striker, take it to the ground. If the guy was a better grappler, keep it on the feet, and he beat him in either one. And I always really liked that. So that's been my plan since the beginning.
Cody, are you prepared for the fame, and is there any way to prepare for fame?
I don't know how to answer that one.
It is a tough question but it's part of it. But when you're training and fighting, how do you prepare? For me, I think it would be just it happens and you just deal with it.
Yeah, I just try to stay present, and just focus on what's in front of me and deal with the stuff whenever it comes. I know who I am as a person, so when you say like are you prepared for it? I would say in one way, yeah, like I'm prepared. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to become an asshole, Or you see some of these guys, they get famous or they get rich, and it kind of eats away at their character. I don't see that happen to me, but I'm sure it's going to be stressful. I'm sure there's, from the outside looking in, it looks amazing to be famous, but I'm sure there's some downsides too, and there's some stressful moments, But I'll deal with it as it comes.
Are you on your way to becoming the most famous person from Forest Hills High School?
Maybe. Listen, there's a speaking of Primanti brothers. There's a Pramani brothers, like I said, a couple minutes from my house in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and they have a wall of fame. They have a painting, like a mural of all the most famous people from Johnstown, Olympic athletes, Hall of Fame coaches, all that kind of stuff. There's a spot on that wall right beside my Pitt Johnstown wrestling coach, Coach McCord. There's a spot near him. I'm trying to get on that wall. So
yes,
2 more fights under my belt, win a championship, and get on that wall.
Yes, that's it. That was the best part of the interview. Thank you so much. That is awesome, man. I will cheer for that, and I hope that happens. It will happen. You'll tweet about it. Others will tweet about it. We'll all get to share. That is cool. All right, last question for you. Have you ever seen Punxsutawney Phil?
Have I ever seen him in person?
Yes.
No, I have not.
You're not too far, right? You're about an hour and a half away when you're up there from Punxsutawney, right?
Yeah, but the thing you got to understand is, whenever you're young, the only way I would have went out there is when I was young. Whenever I was younger like that, I was only wrestling. There was no, we're going to take an hour and a half to drive to see a groundhog. If we're driving an hour and a half, it's a wrestling practice, go to a wrestling tournament. That was it. So, I've never seen Punxsutawney Phil.
Did you see the movie Groundhog Day?
I may have. I don't know. I'm a bit of a movie connoisseur, but every once in a while I get asked if I've seen a movie that everybody's seen and I haven't seen it. That's probably one of them.
That is about Punxsutawney Phil, Bill Murray. It's great, but it's all about Groundhog's Day and not just a bit the celebration that they have in Punxsutawney is. And I didn't know this was all real until reading about it later because I just thought it was a movie. But it's a comedy. But it's called Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray, but Punxsutawney Phil, and it's great. But Cody, listen. What's great is being able to talk to you, spend some time with you. I do appreciate it so much. All of us with Bellator 254. That will be on Thursday, December 10th. The main card will be on CBS Sports Network. Hey, thank you for the time.
No problem, man. Appreciate your call.